Well, good evening, everyone, and it's finally here. It seems like forever at the last game of last year, but the 2024 edition of the Rejoice Christian Eagles football has arrived. Hello and welcome to the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show. I'm Bill Bush, joined by my wingman, Mark Kirk, and, of course, head coach of the Rejoice Eagles, Brent Marley. And, as always, Todd Whitten back there behind the camera and the controls. We're coming to you live. Schaefer, and right up the middle goes Noah, and he busts through and touchdown! Back to pass is Cale, looking over to his left. He got his man there, and it's Tristan Willis, and he may be gone to the races. He makes one man miss. He's at the 5. Touchdown! Rejoice Christian Eagles, as Tristan White did a lot of that on his own, making several men miss. Well, good evening and welcome everyone to Buffalo Wild Wings here in Owasso, Oklahoma, home of the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show. I'm Bill Bush, joined by my wingman Mark Kirk, head coach Brent Marley, and defense line coach Aaron Warren. And we want to also say thank you to Hunter and the staff up there, and we appreciate Buffalo Wild Wings sponsoring the Coaches Show. Well, Coach, what we like to call the second season has begun. It began last week, and that would be the playoffs. And the Eagles showed up and really didn't show any signs of nervousness in this ball game whatsoever. I mean, they took care of business on both sides of the ball once again, on special teams, on offense, defense, several great plays on both sides of the ball all night long. And I'm guessing that you came out really feeling pretty pleased about what the team did on the field and how they came out and performed, because they really performed well.
Yeah, they came out in all three phases of the game, played well. There was a spark, an energy about us. I thought we had a good week of practice. On Friday when they came into the team room, we have a pregame meeting, and we watched film of our opponent, and they were locked in. And they were locked in pregame warm-up. And, and it was just grateful to see that coming into the first round. If they looked at Nowata's record, you could maybe not take them seriously. But they didn't do that. And, it's just a good night all the way around.
Yeah, it really was. They showed up and showed out for sure. Just to recap the game, Nowata received the opening kickoff and was forced to punt. And talking about those, guys, a spark early, Jet McCain gave that spark as he busted through the line and blocked the punt. And is that Rejoice's first block this year?
It's the first block, yeah.
First block. That's what Mark and I thought. We didn't remember seeing one this year. But first block of the year, punt block of the year, giving the offense great field possession at the Ironman 37-yard line. And the Eagles went on a 37-yard drive, capped off by a 20-yard rushing TD by Noah Goodwin, and the PAT was good. And then the defense forced a 3-and-out, and the punter, he shanked. I don't know if he was afraid Jet was coming again, because, this one shanked, went off to the right, and actually lost yardage, I think, on the punt. And the Eagles were back in business at the Nowata 19-yard line, where Camion Compton-Nero just took an innocent little screen pass out there on the left, and then turned it upfield, 19 yards for the score. And so, just like that, we're up 14-0. And then on Nowata's –
it seems like the game had just started.
Because it had. Just seconds off almost. But Nowata's on their ensuing possession on 3rd and 14, Zizi Okufuluezi jumped the route for a 33-yard pick six for it to go up 20-0. And, Coach, at that time, the defense is, you got special teams blocking punts. You got to make it easy for the offense, and then you got Z coming out and say, okay, you know what, we're going to let the defense score now.
Right. Yeah. No, it was a great jump start, and they couldn't. I think they couldn't get the ball past the 30-yard line there for the block punt, and then our offensive possessions once again seemed to be just short. Just getting the ball inside the 30.
Yeah, not being able to go very far down the field. And that's not all the scoring in the first quarter. The defense forced another turnover on downs. And on 2nd and 5 from the Nowata 45-yard line, Goodwin ran through a hole that was just, I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch the replay from the end zone, I mean, the hole just opens up. And I was telling Mark before the show started, it was at least 7 yards on each side of him. So you got a 14-yard, 15-yard gap that you're just saying, oh, okay, just run right up. I mean, because of that O-line blocking for a 45-yard touchdown. And with that run, went over 1,000 yards for the season. When is the last time we've had a 1,000-yard rusher?
It would have been Chance Wilson, his sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as far as a 1,000-yard tailback, because we do a lot of RPO, and so our quarterbacks, normally year in, year out, get a lot of yardage on the ground. But
probably got to go back to 2019 to Nate Anderson.
Okay, yeah. Big Nate.
I forgot about, he had a really good.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Crow before that.
Yeah.
And Andrew Crow.
Yeah. So that put the lead to 27-0 after the first quarter. And then after a 13-yard sack by Tristan Willis on second down from the Nowata 7, the Nowata quarterback was called for intentional grounding while he was in the grasp of Wade White in the end zone, resulting in a safety. So once again, defense showing up. So now it's 29-0. And then after the safety, the Ironmen, they kicked off from their own 20-yard line where Tristan Willis covered an onside kick at the 31. And then on first down, Cale drops a dime to Ben Nichols for the 31-yard pitch and catch for the touchdown and the PAT good. So, again, the offense just on a roll. Still in the second quarter after forcing yet another 3-and-out. Nowata had to punt from their own 13-yard line, and the Eagles took over at the Nowata 42. But so here you go again, Coach.
Yeah.
We're not even past the 50. Every offensive possession has started inside the 50, on their side of the 50. And on the third play of the series, again, Noah Goodwin made a great move at the line of scrimmage, just stuck his foot in the ground and then rushed to his third touchdown of the night on a 17-yard carry. And the PAT was no good. We were talking about, I think that was the blocked PAT, and that's where the guy, when I was watching it from the end zone camera, you see this guy elevate, probably 36 or 4 feet in the air, and I'm thinking, wow, he needs to be on the basketball team. Then you see from the sideline, and he's got his middle linebacker throwing him in the air as high as he can. And I was asking Aaron about it earlier. Can you assist somebody to help block like that? Is that legal? Because, I mean, he's sitting right in front of the back judge.
Yeah, I know you can't jump on the top of people's backs and push off, jump on them like they're a plyo box.
Right.
But as far as
I always preferred springboard.
Actually. Yeah, like a trampoline.
Yeah.
But I don't. You know what? I don't know about that.
I've never seen
lifting somebody up to do that.
Aaron said he saw Texas do it once, and they got called for penalty for doing something similar. But so maybe it's different in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not a penalty. If they don't throw the flag, it's not a penalty. Right?
Well, because it may be one of those deals where he probably thought, I've never seen that before. I can't throw a flag if I don't know it's a foul. So that made it 42-0 with a missed extra point. And then after forcing a turnover on downs, the Eagles went from their own 40. So we're back. We're going to have to go 60 yards on this. Mm-hmm. And on a 9-play drive, it was really nice to see a long, instead of just 1 or 2 plays and you score a touchdown, go on a 9-play drive, and it was capped off by a beautiful run by Jason Mahika. He made a cut at the 7, and Mark even commented during the game. He made a cut at the 7, made a guy just completely, just stuck his foot in the ground. The guy goes flying by him, and then he hits the next guy, does a spin move, and goes in. Yeah. And Mark, we were talking about how that's instinctive. You can't, let me teach you how to spin. As good a coach as
you guys are, you can't coach that.
Well, actually, Coach Warren worked with him on that the day before. I saw them after practice on Thursday.
Something tells me.
I'll be on crutches.
So anyway, that was all of the first half scoring, 49-0 at halftime, and the Eagles came out in getting the ball on the first possession of the second half, and after receiving the kickoff, they scored on a perfectly thrown ball from Camion to Hope Wilson for a 51-yard touchdown. Just hit him in stride. And I guess that's where the guy jumps up. We missed the first PAT, that's where the guy jumps up and blocks it. But anyway, we go up 55-0 at that point. And that pass, I mean, we brag on Cale all the time, but that pass from Camion, and we'll talk about it a little bit later.
It was on the money.
It was. I mean, he never broke stride, comes in, just keeps going.
Yeah.
And then after forcing another turnover on downs, the Eagles had to punt the ball back to the Ironmen. And on 3rd and long from Nowada's own 14, Luke Kirkpatrick, he high-pointed the pass, the Nowata pass, and intercepted it, the Ironmen's 37. And the Eagles, now being quarterbacked by Kenyon Twilliger, scored on a beautiful ball to Tristan Willis from the 18-yard line for the score. Another really pretty pass. And, I mean, these guys are out there throwing dimes, and, and they're not even your starters. You're down to your 3rd quarterback, and you're thinking that he could start on a lot of the teams that we've played this year.
Yeah.
And then still in the 3rd quarter, the Ironmen finally went out and got on the board on a 68-yard drive with 1:21 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Their 2-point conversion attempt was no good. In the 4th quarter, after being forced to punt, Luke Schaefer with, again, great special teams play, covered a muff punt at the Ironman 29-yard line. I mean, he was ready to bust this guy, and then all of a sudden this guy just muffs the punt, and he's right there. And however, on that drive, the Eagles stalled out at the Nowata 20. On Nowata's 3rd down from their own 34, Holt Wilson got his 2nd interception of the night on an over-the-shoulder catch. And basically it looked like it was more to him than it was the intended receiver. And he caught it at the 31, returned it all the way 31 yards back to the Nowata 38-yard lines. And the Eagles, and we look down there and we see number 14 in the quarterback shot. I thought, Max Eichmann is the quarterback? I don't know. Has he played quarterback in a game this year?
Not for us. He has not. No.
Okay.
Did Max know he was going to play quarterback?
Oh yeah. Well, he's one of our quarterbacks. We got 4.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I mean, they were able to drive. He was able to take the ball. They would drive down and scored on a really short little 5-yard toss to Tanner Tanner Piazza, and for the final score of 69-6. But Coach, you looked at the ball from that was just a little pass over to Tanner, but you look at the balls from Cale, you look at the throws from Camion, you look at the throws from Kenyon. These guys, you've got to feel. I mean, you've got those guys, and then you've got these guys in the backfield with Cale now healthy, Camion and Noah. And then you've got the ability for these guys to go down to receivers that can catch the ball. Casey's just got to be licking his chops whenever he gets up there and starts making calls.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's we've got a good group in the quarterback room, and they're talented. I mean, they are, and which is a blessing. You think back to a year ago, last year, we're going over to Victory, and Camden Ryan was hurt. And then we're going with Josh Hendricks and Hunter Hensley and trying to figure out what we're going to do. 2 guys that hadn't any reps at quarterback.
Could draw straws.
Yeah.
Well, it turned one-dimensional.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the fact that you can go 4 deep, 3 specifically, and then 4 deep, and really have guys that can run the offense, I mean, that's just incredible. I've just never seen it like that.
Well, it's an interesting stat line. Coach Echo brought it up when we went in the office after Friday's game, but we had 4 quarterbacks throw touchdown passes. Now try to find that
anywhere
it's
in the
hard to
past
find.
in the history of Rejoice.
Right.
Little League football.
Yeah. Right.
Well, looking at the leaders in passing, Cale was 8 for 10 for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. Camion 1 for 1, but that was a 51-yard touchdown pass that he threw. And then Max Eichmann 2 for 3 for 35 yards and a touchdown. Rushing leaders, Noah 5 rushes for 82 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mojica had 7 rushes for 32 yards and a touchdown. Receiving leaders, you had Ben Nichols, 3 catches for 59 yards and a TD, and I thought he was going to get him another one to where he starts on one side of the field. That's becoming a habit with him, like, it's closed off. I'm going to reverse field.
A lot of extra running.
Yeah.
But he had a touchdown with his 59 yards. Holt Wilson, a touchdown on that 59-yard catch Neil Lieber, 3 catches for 25 yards. Tanner Piazza, 2 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. And Camion Compton-Niero, a catch for a 20-yard TD. And then Tristan Willis, a catch for a 17-yard touchdown. So here you got, you've got 4 guys that are, or 5 guys, and this isn't even all, but there's 6 guys that they either had some good yards, but that's not even all the guys that caught the ball.
Right.
I mean, you've got so many weapons out there. I mean, you got 3 quarterbacks throwing, like you said, TDs.
4, actually.
4 throwing TDs.
Yeah.
7 guys, 7 different people scoring. 18 guys touching the ball, either running, catching, or passing the ball. And I just can't ever, like you said, I don't ever remember a year that even comes close to the offensive power and capabilities that this team gives you, that you can pick. You talk about picking your poison on, all right, who are you going to cover?
Yeah.
You've just got to look at that and think,
So
wow,
many options.
Well, and this time of year, it's never been like this.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's always been, we've had 2 or 3 guys hurt going into playoff time.
Yeah, no, it's such a blessing. It's, like you said, going into the playoffs and not having all of our bullets in our holster the last several years, it just, that's all you want as a coach. You don't want to get back. Now I got to wait a whole nother year to get back to this point. Can we just be healthy at this point? Because you see other people, you know their roster and you know their main players because you're following them all throughout the year. And then you see their main players doing stuff in the playoffs. And it's like, well, can that be us?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Our turn.
Let's try that. Let's try that for a change.
right.
What's funny is, as much distribution we've had on the offensive side of the ball and how great it's been having all those options, everybody getting in the game, and all the skill players across the board, making a huge impact. On the defensive side, it's even more so.
Yes.
It's just been crazy on the defensive side, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Being from the defense, I can't imagine that, Mark.
I love it, but just so many folks get involved in the play and making outstanding plays. And then again, as a team, watch everybody fly to the ball. But once again, some of these stats, our defensive leaders for the night, Cade Schaefer, led the way, 15 tackles in one game, 7 solo, 2 for a loss and a sack. Maverick Gwynn, 10 tackles, 2 solo. Carson Losey, 7 tackles, 3 solo, and another tackle for loss. Carter Acree, 7 tackles, 2 solo. Camion, 7 tackles, 5 solo, and another tackle for a loss. Noah Schnackenberg, 6 tackles, 3 solo. Neil Lieber, 2 solos and an interception. I mean, interceptions, fumble recovers, block punts, safeties, all this stuff is just crazy. Wade Wilson, 4 tackles, a solo, an interception, and a pass breakup. There was that's something we haven't really harped on too much is the pass breakups.
Yeah.
These guys, stopping that completion between that and the quarterback pressures.
Yeah, I was going to say, the other thing that we don't really ever keep really a stat on, but I'm sure that Coach Warren does, is that the pressure on the quarterback, because a lot of those interceptions are because he's got somebody right in his face.
Exactly.
There has been a lot of pressure this year. The 2 guys, so Wade White and Carson, they're battling it out for the sack for the season. That every day they're talking to each other. I mean, I'm going to get it this week. I mean, they've already broke it for the season, but now they're keeping it going. They want more.
Well, and after watching the Nowata film, I predicted we would have at least 2 interceptions.
Yep.
I didn't think we would double that and have come away with 4.
Yeah.
It was
Pressure does it.
Pressure does it. It makes things happen. I mean, it makes things happen. And you were just talking about, Wade White, a safety, had a sack in the end zone for a safety, right? Wade Wilson, 4 tackles, 1 solo, an interception, a pass breakup. Alex Yorman had an interception. Luke Schaefer, 4 tackles, 2 solo, and a fumble recovery. Tristan Willis, 6 tackles, 5 solo, a sack. And then Zizi had a 35-yard pick 6 on top of all that, right? So pretty good night, that's for sure, all the way around. It's all the different things that happen. All the different guys are involved in the game. And we're trying to keep up with it up there. Amidst everything else going on, it's about to come to the point that it's easier to get a shorter list of the guys that didn't get involved in the ball, which might be really hard to come up with, honestly, because there's not too much of that going on. So it's from our side, it just looked like a really good night for the defense again. And what? It's how do we keep this going? How do we keep these guys engaged in the game? How do we keep things going? I always like to look at defense as you're like a predator right there, right? You're going out there, you're after the ball, you're doing your job, but then you're flying to the ball. Looks like we got a lot of that going on.
We've got playmakers on defense and offense.
We've
got playmakers on both sides of the ball. Yeah. And the crazy thing is we haven't peaked.
Even better.
Even better. Every day in practice, every practice on both sides of the ball is better. And so from 2 weeks to today, you can see a difference. Tomorrow we go defense, and you'll see another difference. Every day we're just climbing. Like I tell my D line, there's a ladder we're climbing to get to where we want to go. And I make sure I let them guys know that they are the best D line in Class A, because I want them to believe that.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Every game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
And
what
they're proving it.
And that's what we talked about. 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery, 4 interceptions, a safety, and 28 guys in on tackles. 28 different guys on tackles. That's almost an entire team that it has at least 1 tackle or an assist on a tackle.
It's unbelievable just to watch them guys go out there and perform.
And it starts with that defensive line, because if you got those guys engaged, that's where the Cade Schaefers and
yeah, I've
Let
said
them
that.
play free.
Oh, yeah, I've said that many, many times. You know, obviously, I played linebacker, so I was always one, you know, you're the guys that made the tackles, right? But oftentimes it was because of what was going on.
you get the glory,
You
but
get the glory,
but
you better make that tackle, right? Because all the work's being done up here.
Right, and my guys know that was the first thing I told them to start the year. You're not going to make all the plays. It's let them linebackers go make it. And keep those linemen off of them, and we'll be all right.
Exactly. And it's working.
It is.
It's working.
Well, it's time for our players of the game. Our offensive at POG. I mean, what more can you say about this young man's running capabilities? His ability to hit the hole and then to accelerate is just, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And last Friday was no different. And, I mean, he's just so much fun to watch, too. And that's Noah Goodwin, because, I mean, this guy, again, that's not something that cut and hit the hole and then take off it's one thing to be a big bruising back that just runs over people. But even with the other guys that you were mentioning, I don't remember having a back that's as big and physical as him that can accelerate.
Still have the speed to go
almost
right
like a
with it.
sprinter
Yeah.
once he gets out in the open.
Very rare. I mean, you know, you see him
It's
on
usually
TV.
one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice you see him on TV, but it's nice to have one of your own.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah. It's definitely something that you're used to seeing on Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons on these guys that can do that. But to have a guy, like I say, that's not just a big bruising, tailback. He can hit he'll run over you. How many times has he done that? I mean, when the hole's not there, that he just hits somebody in the mouth.
He
And
he causes the collision, right? You know,
Right.
He's going out looking for that contact.
He doesn't hesitate. And,
Yeah.
Noah coming in, he was at Rejoice as a little kid. And his parents are missionaries, and they went to Alaska for about 3 years and then just came back this summer. And just what a blessing. Great young man, works hard. Doesn't talk a whole lot, right?
Very humble.
Very humble, and loves the game. And it's just been a blessing to have on our team.
Yep.
Do they play football in Alaska?
They do.
He was on a state championship team. I think his
Oh, really?
dad or mom told me last year he's played in one.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yep.
Quick
Good.
story, I coached with Noah as coach, and I was talking to him before the game, and he's like, yeah, you guys your back's big. He goes, I thought he's just going to be a bruiser. He goes, I turned the film on, and he's like, holy cow, he can run too.
He can run. He can run.
Can he ever? It's called separation,
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we seen their corners or
Yeah.
whatever taking off thinking, okay, I've
You
got
can
the
see-
angle.
You just
Well,
watch
oops.
the angle. You can just watch the angle. No, that's not enough angle. You can tell.
Right.
You can tell.
And not enough speed.
Yep.
On the defensive side of the ball, our player of the game for defense is, again, somebody that's been shining all year long, obviously, and that's Cade Schaefer. Again, it's another one of those classic Cade Schaefer nights. 15 tackles, 7 solo, 2 for a loss, and a sack. The other thing I'm just really enjoying watching this year is all those tackles for loss, all those sacks, all the stuff that's happening because of penetration. And I think that's something that we're seeing that's new. At least it hasn't been quite this prevalent before, at least.
Being athletic helps. Our
Oh,
speed
absolutely.
and athletic. We're not big, and we have faced guys 100 pounds bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
And we get penetration. We're just so quick. They're athletic, and they're strong.
Yeah.
That's good.
They're hard to block.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
They are.
We can watch it.
That's called being in the weight room.
Yeah.
Paying off.
So they're exciting to watch.
It's been good. It's been a lot of fun. Likewise, on the big play of the game for last week was kind of a new one.
And he's
Yeah.
Mark's loving this because it's coming from the defensive side again.
Yeah, it's because of seeing a block punt's always a lot of fun. But watching when a lineman can get in there and make that, and I was just super stoked about that to watch Jet McCain get across there and get that block.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. And, he went after he got it, he went over to Coach Johnson, and they kind of high-fived. So that was pretty cool to see that.
He was excited.
He was.
Yes.
Watching it.
Yep. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, he used to go, that was my finger there. Yeah. Well, okay, so, Coach, I mean, upcoming game, 1 versus 3. It depends on which poll you're looking at. It's either us 1 versus 3 or it's them 2 versus us 3. Depends on who's doing the poll. Nevertheless, 2 of the top 3 teams in the state going after it Friday night. And for the first time I can remember, we're in the second, like we talked about a little bit, second round of the playoffs completely healthy. And my only concern, though, is in the last 4 or 5 games, I guess after the Pecola game, we just haven't been pressed. I mean, we're only – and I know a lot of people saying, well, why has he still got to start in the third quarter? They've got to get the reps. I mean, if you pulled them out every time that you had a big lead in the first half, they may not even have 6 full games under their belt this year because of the lack of playing time. But so how does only playing 3 times and sometimes only 2 quarters impact the conditioning for the starters?
Well, you really don't know. It's one of those things where we practice hard. We try to practice fast. We don't have a huge roster, so we don't run them into the ground. And after practice, we run gassers and get on the line and do all that. So, we try to get ready throughout the week just in our normal practice schedule. We do run it a little bit every now and then, but not a whole lot. It's one of those things that you just try to weigh how they're feeling, how their bodies are reacting. Do they seem to be tired, lethargic? Are they, and going into this time of year, you want them vibrant and as much as you can. Everybody's kind of banged up, beat up. Everybody's tired. And so I think it's a big, big advantage this time of year if your kids are still vibrant and hungry and not ran down. And so we'll just face the quarters when we get there. I tell our kids sometimes it's like you've heard of guys going into Navy SEAL training into buds, and guys will take freezing cold showers to prepare for getting sprayed down on the beach or freezing cold times. And they're like, the guys that make it through and they're Navy SEALs say, don't do that. You deal with it when you get there. Yeah. It's going to be a freezing cold shower.
It's a mind
4
thing.
months before you go.
You want to be at your best.
So just embrace the suck when you're in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we just have to embrace the challenge when we're in it. You cannot, no matter how much we do, you can't simulate a tight football game.
Right.
4 quarters of play without playing in one.
Right.
And so we just got to do the best with what we've got.
Well, and it's going to be a tough one.
It's going to be tough, which kind of leads me to this on the defensive side of the ball. You got Fairview's only loss. Where's it coming from? Right, from number 1. So they're a multi-dimensional team. They can both pass and run. They're big. They're fast. It's all the things. It's kind of like looking at Rejoice, right? So how do you prepare for that?
For the first time, I think we're actually going to line up perfect with their O-line. We actually weigh about the same, so that'll be great. But it's going to be penetration and keep doing what we keep doing. Get penetration, put pressure on the quarterback, and tackle. Tackle.
Form tackle.
They, looking at their film, they break a lot of tackles, so we've got to tackle.
Yeah. No arm tackling.
And keep the quarterback contained.
That's always a good. When you start there,
Yeah.
keep the quarterback contained. It keeps that kind of narrows it down a lot, right? Which you got to concentrate
Just do
on.
our job.
And I did notice that they've got some really good skilled players. Their quarterback's big and fast.
Yep.
He breaks he's a lot of their offense if he gets out in the open, but they throw a lot of, the bubble screens, a lot in the flats, but then he'll throw one down on the wheel route and just chunk it down the field. So, like Mark said, it's kind of a mirror of us. I don't think they have as many skilled players, but they've got enough to where they're going to test our D-backs.
They are. They got enough just to scare us a little bit, but our speed will hopefully help us on all that.
So, Coach Marley, as far as their defense, I don't care who you are. This offense, of ours, it's got to be very difficult to prepare for. And I know we haven't had to open up the playbook in the last, 4 or 5 weeks, but I'm guessing we're going to go out and just challenge them to try and stop this offensive scheme that we've got.
Yeah, it's I think one of the biggest challenges is not necessarily the scheme of Fairview, if that makes sense. These kids were 37-0 until they lost to Hooker this year.
Wow.
They went 15-0 and 15-0. 2 state championships. their neck is going to be as tough as boot leather. And so, they've got a great culture over there. They believe. They want to get back to play hooker again.
Yep.
And so you're going to have to break their will. And anything worth anything in life is not easy, right? So it's going to be you got to be ready for 5 quarters. I told the boys, you got to be ready to bleed. You got to be ready to, leave your heart on the field. I mean,
because there's no tomorrow if you lose.
There's no tomorrow. And for what? Holding back for what? Holding
Right.
back for nothing.
Right.
And teams like that don't give up.
No, and
Yeah,
they're very good, and they're very. I told their coach this morning that we're honored to be able to play them and host them. What they've done and what they've been in the state of Oklahoma in high school football the last 3 years. It's just a great opportunity for our program and our kids, and so it's a great challenge. And their quarterback he's one of the best in the state. And I talked to the head coach at Cashion the other night, and he said their quarterback's the best high school player he's ever seen.
Really?
He
he looked good.
Yeah,
He's fast.
And Cashion's won several state championships.
Well, and when you mentioned that, I thought, you know what? It reminds me a lot of when Cashion was on a roll and had won back-to-back state championships,
Yep.
and we had to go to Cashion, and we answered the bell.
Yes.
And so you got to. I mean, it's really the same thing. Only they've got to drive that almost 3 hours to our place this
Right.
time, which is a huge benefit not to have to do.
No, it's
is get on the
huge.
bus and go 3 hours.
It's a huge deal, and our kids have to believe, and we've been focused on that word. That was our word this summer in our summer seed program. It was on their shirts, and, believe, over-believe. And so I'm ready for Friday.
Well, as a player, though, I mean, these are the games you live for.
That's right.
This is what it's all about, right? If you can't get up for this game, you can't get up for anything.
Right.
That's right. Yep.
Well, and it's easily going to be the best team, I think, that we faced all year. I think they're actually better than Cassia was. And it's going to be a battle royale. Win this one, and we go play somewhere next week on a neutral field in the semifinals. So I don't need to tell you fans out there the importance of a sold-out Gibbs Field this Friday night. Great, dry, cool football weather, and the last game on our home field this year. So I know you might think, you might, and actually the playoffs will be in 2 weeks if we can, to continue in the semifinals if we win Friday night. And so it's going to be so important for you to be the 12th man. We need to make this a big-time home field advantage. They're going to fill up the visitor side. They're going to travel, and you're going to see – it'll be probably one of the first times in a long time we'll have seen the visitor side full because they're going to bring it up. So let's show up with a record crowd. This will be one of the best games at Gibbs Field in a long, long time. You're not going to want to miss it because, it's going to be – it may very well be – if it wasn't for Union playing Jinx, it may very well be the game of the week. I don't know of any better contest going on in the playoffs right now at this stage. So, Coach Marley, any last thoughts?
Well, people have seen Union and Jinx all the time.
Yeah, come out and see. Yeah.
It's just constant.
Same old.
It's not big. It's not this. Come see something different.
You want to see an atmosphere? Come out to Gibbs Field.
Yep.
But we got to make that atmosphere. So if I got to beg you or plead you, that's what I'm doing. Get out there. I hope that anybody that is in the Owasso area will go to the game and not even watch Mark and I Friday night. That pleased me to no end. So. Coach Warren, any last thoughts?
I agree. Standing room only. Let's fill it up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mark?
Looking forward to it. It's exciting. This is the stuff that everybody lives for.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
I'm excited, and it can't get here fast enough. It's going to be a fun one. So, and Mark and I will bring you all that playoff action, so be sure to join us if you can't make it out. But we'd really like to make it out to the game. From a wingman, Mark Kirk, coaches Brent Marlin, Aaron Warren, and our engineer, Todd Witten. I'm Bill Bush, and you've been watching the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show on Rejoice Athletics TV. Good night, God bless, and go Eagles.